Lithuania in the early hours of March 25th. Tragically, 3 soldiers were found deceased in Lithuania yesterday, and it pains me to confirm that today, the 4th soldier was also found deceased. The President, the Secretary of Defense, and the entire White House are praying for the victims' friends and family during this unimaginable time. This is another stark reminder of the selfless sacrifice of our brave military men and women who risk their lives around the world every day to keep us safe. God bless them. On another note, at our southern border, there is more massive news. Southwest border crossings in March fell to the lowest level in American history, down 94% from March of last year under
That's good. Down 94%. That's real good.
President Biden, when 137,000 illegal aliens poured across our wide-open southern border. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, Border Patrol agents are now back to doing the jobs they signed up for, securing the border, rather than serving as travel agents for illegal aliens. The Los Angeles Times captured the Trump effect on the border with a recent article. Their headline read, "California-Mexico border, once overwhelmed, is now nearly empty." With so few migrants coming into the U.S., they wrote, "Shelters that once served migrants have completely closed." Deportations of illegal aliens who threaten the safety of the American people are also continuing at a rapid pace. Over the weekend, the United States military transferred a group of 17 violent criminals from the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorist organizations to El Salvador. And an illegal alien who was released by the Biden administration into our country was just arrested in Georgia and charged with the horrific killing of Camelia Williams, a mother of 5 and grandmother. The suspect has now been indicted on charges of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, rape, aggravated sexual battery, and necrophilia, which, for those who don't know, necrophilia is a sexual obsession with a corpse. This suspect was ordered to be removed in July 2023, but the Biden administration allowed him to stay. This case represents the ruthless murderers, rapists, and pedophiles who Joe Biden and Democrats let into our country over the past 4 years through our southern border. They should have never been here in the first place. Keep this in mind the next time you see Democrats protesting future illegal alien removals from our country. President Trump is focused on fulfilling his greatest obligation, to keep the American people safe and to defend our country from violent invaders. Looking ahead to tomorrow, April 2nd, 2025, will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history. Our country has been one of the most open economies in the world, and we have the consumer base hands down, the best consumer base. But too many foreign countries have their markets closed to our...
Hold on, I want to see what's going on with these Doge cuts.
With Doge to root out the waste, lock as much of it into law as possible. If we can fit in a budget reconciliation, we surely will. If it's going to come later in a rescissions package, then we're going to do it as best as we can to achieve those real savings for the taxpayers of this country who are counting us to deliver. The man who's delivering our agenda in the House, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Thank you, Leader. Thanks to my colleagues. Good morning to all of you. It's another busy week on Capitol Hill. Let me address these 2 very important pieces of legislation that are upon us. Just give you a little more info and then we'll take questions. I want to thank our great colleague from Kansas, former Attorney General. He knows that at which he speaks, and Congressman Schmidt gives great voice to this. We're talking about this problem of rogue rulings, and the Democrats, our colleagues here, they talk all about this so-called constitutional crisis that they see around every tree. They don't like President Trump policies, and so that's their catchphrase they use for everything. But there really is a constitutional crisis that's developing. It's not the one that the Democrats claim, though. Listen to these numbers, and we've shared them before. 67% of all injunctions issued by district court judges against a president since the year 2000 were issued against one man, and his name's President Donald J. Trump. 92% of those injunctions against the president were issued by Democrat-appointed judges. There's a problem. I've mentioned before, I was a constitutional law litigator, routinely would run into judges that I would describe as activists, but it was much more rare than it is now. And it's a problem that has been noted needs to be addressed. Under the existing framework, one singular district court judge out of 677 of them, anywhere in America, can subvert the will of the duly elected president carrying out his constitutional duties. And they're doing that. And so we've got to step into this. Despite the American people's wholesale rejection of Democrat ideas at the ballot box, you have activist judges who are abusing the system to legislate from the bench. That's effectively what an activist judge is. This is not how the system our founders designed is supposed to work. Under our Constitution, we have three co-equal branches of government, each with the ability to provide a check on the other. And we do have that authority. Democrats seem to have forgotten that. I mentioned at a press conference or a gaggle, maybe it was last week with all of you, I can't remember so many of these, but somebody asked me repeatedly about, impeachment, and they asked me about our authority under the Constitution. What authority do we have under Article 3? The Congress is given the authority to determine, define, fund all lower courts. Only the Supreme Court has mentioned itself in the Constitution, and the lower courts are within the purview of the Congress. And I was asked, and I offered the answer, yes. I mean, we could defund those courts. I wasn't saying, let me clarify, I wasn't saying that we're doing that. I was trying to describe what the Constitution says. Go read it for yourselves. We have broad scope. We have all authority over the lower courts. Okay, we're not defunding courts, and we're not doing anything other than limiting in this legislation the ability of a judge to issue a nationwide injunction, because that is the problem that has gotten totally out of control. And we need this check on the judiciary, and I think we're going to prove that on the floor. One activist judge should not issue a nationwide injunction against the president's policies. And these district courts have to stay within their constitutional bounds. The next act we talked about that'll be on the floor is the SAVE Act, and we've been here and done this, but we have to do it again because we never got it through the Senate last time. But this is the second time in less
I'm gonna have to come back probably tomorrow because the lights are going down.
than a year. Congressional Democrats will have the opportunity to do something that 87% of the American people demand that Congress does. Only U.S. citizens should decide U.S. elections. It is in federal law, but it is not always enforced, and you need further enforcement. Why? Because we have to make sure that the law is complied with, and this will require a reasonable measure of having an ID to prove your citizenship. It's Democrats say it's already illegal to vote as a citizen, but that doesn't mean that you don't need further enforcement. We don't rely on the integrity of teenagers trying to purchase a six-pack at the liquor store, right? We require them to provide ID to prove they're old enough to make that purchase. We require ID for almost everything in society, and almost everybody has one. And we're just saying that this is a very simple common sense measure. States are barred from even asking to verify citizenship status or on voter registration forms currently. So we have to fix that. And the states can't just rely on the integrity of the registrant. We need a safeguard in the system. So the SAVE Act closes that massive loophole. It codifies President Trump's executive action to secure our voter registration process, and it protects the voices of American voters. If we don't have free and fair and safe and secure elections, then we have nothing in a republic. And so that's where we're moving forward, and we'll see where the Democrats stand on it. I'll take questions. Yes.
Speaker, President Trump this week in an interview with my colleague Kristen Welker said that when he repeatedly brings up the idea of running for a third term, that he is not joking. You are a constitutional law expert. Is there a legal constitutional path for him to seek a third term? And would you support him if he went down that road?
Well, I just told everybody to read the Constitution. There's a constitutional path. You have to amend the Constitution to do it, and that's a high bar.
It's I don't know, Megan. I don't know. I think they might stroll in. It's a lot of entertainment news going on right now.
You know, the president and I have talked about this, joked about it. He's joked about it with me on stage before. We take him at his word. I understand why so many Americans do wish that he could run for a third term, because he's accomplishing so much in this first 100 days.
I didn't put no tags in there. Let me tag it up. People start coming in a minute. It's 175 people watching. They
wish it could go on for much longer. But I think he recognizes the constitutional limitations, and I'm not sure that there's a move about to amend the Constitution. Yeah.
Real quick in the chat, what do y'all think about this? Like, Democrats are fighting to keep away voter ID for elections, like for voting. What do y'all think about that? I think, me personally, is my opinion, I think we, like this guy's saying. We need an ID for everything else. Like, we should be needing an ID to vote. Like, why would you allow somebody that doesn't have an ID that you can't verify as an American citizen to vote and help determine the outcome of one of our elections? That makes no sense. Fighting against that is insane. Christian Medwood said, I went to the bank to exchange foreign currency. They asked me for ID, gave them my passport. They asked for another. What the heck? Yeah, but y'all Democrats, Christian Medwood, y'all don't want people to, to show like ID to vote, man. What's up with that, Christian Medwood, man?
I think that the president should move forward tomorrow with tariffs, with imposing tariffs.
He's made very clear that he's doing this in the executive branch under his executive authority, and it doesn't involve Congress in that way. Look, you have to trust the president's instincts on the economy, okay? And why? This isn't blind faith. Remember what he accomplished in the first administration. Before COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world, not the U.S., the whole world. Every demographic was doing better because we cut taxes, we cut regulations, and we made a better economic environment for everybody to succeed. And he is going about that same plan to bring that about, and tariffs is a component of that. And we'll see how it all develops. I mean, the reciprocal tariff policy is one that makes a lot of common sense. I mean, you look at the trade disparity between many nations, and much of this began after World War II, and the rationale apparently was, well, we need to rebuild Europe, and America emerges.
And Christian Medwood said, no, I agree. You should show ID to vote. Normal. Yeah, but they're trying to, and it's insane, man. Cindy Kane said, nope, not the part of the Constitution we're interested in changing. It's seeking citizenship and severely restricting seeking asylum. And yes, people should have to show ID to have an ID to vote and be 18. Johnny Harris is a member on the channel. He said, when you can't win an idea, replace the audience with the new ones. Talking about voters. U.S. MAGA said, Indiana, you have to have an ID. At least I do whenever I go to vote and polls. Yeah, I'm in Tennessee, you have to have one. But so what they were saying, like Joe Rogan, he said my volume is off. Like I'll fix that later. But what Joe Rogan was saying is that they were busing illegals to no voter ID states before the election. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what Joe Rogan was saying. Thought that was interesting.
As the great superpower, so we should have this imbalance. It's fair. It's, this is what we need. Well, that carried on for generations, and we're well beyond World War II now, and this is a different world. It's a much more integrated, complex economy, and the president's absolutely right when he says that we have to think about America's interests first, because if we don't, we're not going to maintain our status as the great superpower. And when he says, let's have free trade and fair trade, I think the reciprocal tariff policy makes sense. If somebody has 100+% tariff on imports of U.S. goods, and we have virtually nothing, why don't we settle that balance? If we raise and match their tariff policy, I think ultimately what happens is you get back down to a free trade agreement, that these countries that are engaged in this disparity, this raw deal for Americans for so long, it'll get their attention, and they'll, I think, reduce their tariffs on us. Then you get back to a free and fair trade situation. So, look, we'll see what happens. I think it's going to go forward, and it may be rocky in the beginning.
Jennifer said, people who do not drive may want to vote. People out of prison may not have an idea yet. Someone who is homeless may not have money to get an ID, but may want to vote. Jennifer, I understand what you're saying. You still should. If I have to have an ID to buy a car, I have to have an ID to drive a car. If I have to have an ID to buy cigarettes, an ID to buy alcohol, an ID to cash a check, an ID to cash a, you know what I mean? Like IRS sends you back some money, you need an ID to cash it. All of that, like I need to have you to have an ID to vote. You may not have access to an ID, but do you have a social security number? You use that. Maybe they could do something like, yo, you can use your social security number or something, but this is insane.
But I think that this will make sense for Americans, and it will help all Americans. So yes, Scott.
Last question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. President Trump says that Elise Stefanik will be rejoining your leadership team and that you are very enthusiastic to be having her remain in the House. What role will she
Hey,
be
you may have to refresh.
playing on your leadership team, given that she
Buzz
has
Lightyear
already
said you're right,
relinquished?
bro. Yeah, like y'all gotta understand. Like I understand the whole like Democrats are kind of wanting to sell out America. That's what it feels like to me. I'm not saying that's a fact. It's just what it feels like. If you are giving all of our money to illegal immigrants and giving it to Zelensky and doing all of this stuff and not doing anything for people in America, and not trying to stop excess spending and stop all this corruption that's going on through the Treasury Department, you're not doing anything like that. You're mad at Elon Musk for stopping that. It's like you're trying to sell us out. And then not only that, like, come on, like no voter ID is ridiculous. Like that's ridiculous. Like, what's the point of a felony? Like if they're supposed to be able to take your right to vote away. So that means like, okay, you get out of prison, you can still go vote because they can't ask you for an ID. You know, what if somebody comes to this country with cruel intentions and they have the ability to just vote? That's ridiculous. That is crazy. Jennifer said, I'm not showing my social security to some random poll worker. Okay, well, then show your ID. If you can't show your social security, show your ID. Show your birth certificate, show your ID. A form of ID. Show your passport, a form of ID. Don't let these Democrats like brainwash you to thinking that showing your ID is wrong. You know what I mean? We are like, American, like we should be able to move around with our ID all the time. But if we got to use ID for certain specific things, your credit, everything's tied to like who you are. You know what I'm saying? Your name, your social security number, all of that. All right. You can't even get like electric, you know what I mean? Like in your house without having an ID. You can't buy a house. You can't rent a house. You can't do none of that without an ID. So no, I want to see your ID before you vote. And then Jennifer said they wouldn't be showing ID. Like they need to show ID. Buzz Lightyear said, by the way, many states have voter ID cards that are 100%. Yeah, get your voter ID card. Christopher Morris said, my grams lost all her IDs and had to get everything again. She was able to get to the Social Security office and get papers so she could get a state ID. Yeah, I mean, gotta get your ID, man. US Mega, shout out to you. She became a member. Thug Life! Shout out to her. You know what I'm saying? Robert H. said electricity is not a right. Yeah, vote. I mean, you say whatever you want. Like, we gotta show ID. Y'all don't make sense. Y'all Democrats do not make sense with not showing ID. That does not make sense to me.
Her past leadership role.
Yeah, we're trying to sort that out. Elise is a dear friend, trusted colleague. She's a super talent, and she has always brought a lot to the table. And she stepped down from her conference chair role, and on her important committee assignments, she was in line to have a gavel on some of those. And the circumstances changed. So recognizing her talent, I said I would love to invite her back immediately to the leadership table. All the leadership.
John Harris is a member on the channel. He said, "You are not allowed to be in public without an ID in Florida. Without an ID in Florida, you will be detained." Bro, you a lot of places you gotta show ID. This is insane. Like, people not wanting to show ID is crazy. And like, my brother is like a Democrat. He been like trying to, like, this is years ago. He was trying to tell me, he was like, oh, they're trying to use ID to be racist. Like, how? Like, what is you talking about? Well, they don't, like, he ain't know what he was talking about. He's just a Democrat. He's just not, he ain't know what he's talking about, bro.
Poster filled at the
But
moment.
when you think about it, it's like, what? Wait a minute. So these people just come here, you don't want them to show their ID? And you want them to vote on who's going to be, like, the mayor? Who's going to be, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no. President, y'all crazy.
So we're trying to figure out some creative role for Elise to play, because, I think that helps the whole body. I think it helps our conference, and it puts her in a position where she can be of her highest and best use. Scott,
nobody said it makes sense. That way illegals can vote them in power consecutively.
No, every single day as Speaker, what I try to do is make sure all of our members are of their highest and best use. We try to match skill sets with positions, and it's an imperfect thing, but we work through it. And, what happened with Elise is we're dealing with, and we're going to make her a very valuable and important member of this.
Jennifer said, because some people don't have money to get an ID, but still have the right to vote. You need to be spending your time trying to get an ID instead of going to a voting poll. You need to go to that office and get an ID. That's what you need to do. If you're that serious, you know what I mean? Like, go get an ID and then go vote. Like, that's what you need to do.
Conference as she always has been, and I'm excited about that. I am. I'm glad to have her remain with us. So, last question, very bad.
On the topic of activist judges, have you does the legislation?
Jennifer, you cannot just want people who could be here illegally to just vote for who's gonna run our country because somebody just decides, you know what I mean, or somebody's in a situation they ain't got money to get an ID. You have to acknowledge that we have people here that are not Americans. Like, you have to make sure there's a check in place to where they can't just go and vote.
Can touch on using artificial intelligence at all in this regard? And
yeah, no, being poor does not disqualify. You can be poor and vote. I used to be poor voting, and when I didn't have an ID, I went and got one. That's what I did.
Semantic analysis of artificial intelligence is very high.
Yeah. Christian Medwid said, as a German said, let me see your papers. Man, when I went to Switzerland, bruh, I couldn't go nowhere without an ID. Like, when I first got there, I mean, I'm coming from America. It is what it is. Passport, everything. Ask me all kind of questions, but you got your ID. Even when you go out there, you rent a car, you got your ID. You get a hotel, you got to have your ID. When it was like that in Italy, it was like that in France. It was like that in Switzerland. You got to have your ID. Like, why does America just have people doing everything without an ID? No. You need an ID.
And, is it theoretically possible to be able to use AI in a judiciary?
Yeah, you register to vote, and then you have your ID ready.
Capacity.
Wow. I think they're going to replace all the lawyers before they do the judges, and I'm worried about that. I'm a recovering attorney.
The German said, where's your papers? Yo, you bugged out, bro.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. How are we? Great. Good. Good to see you all. I want to start today by addressing...
Yeah, Jennifer is trying to not want people to be ID'd. Jennifer said you prove who you were when you registered to vote. Why do it again? You're not re-registering to vote when you have your ID. You're just showing that you're that person. So yeah, register to vote, do all of that, but go up there. So I could just so Jennifer, do you want me to just drive by a street and look at an address and then go to a voting poll and say, this is me, I live at that address, no proof that I live there, and then vote and then take your vote? No.
The U.S. Army soldiers who went missing while conducting a mission to repair and tow an
U.S. MAGA said you have to prove where you are everywhere you go. Yeah. Johnny Harris is a member on the channel, said, can Jennifer prove she is Jennifer? Jennifer, are you Jennifer? What if Jennifer had a picture of Charlie and Charlie was like, I'm Jennifer? How are we going to know you actually Jennifer? Finman said, the thing is, where I live, you do not need to register at all, and everybody can use any kind of ID. Until recent, even a bank card was fine.
mobilized tactical vehicle in Lithuania in the early hours of March 25th. Tragically, 3 soldiers were found deceased in Lithuania yesterday, and it pains me to confirm that today, the 4th soldier was also found deceased.
Jennifer, what if somebody goes through somebody's mail and takes a picture of their mail, remember the name, go to a voting polling station, and then just say they're that person? You need an ID.
President, the Secretary of Defense, and the entire White House are praying for the victims' friends and family during this unimaginable time. This is another stark reminder of the selfless sacrifice of our brave military men and women who risk their lives around the world every day.
Feynman said, U.S. seems to have a particularly difficult process of voting. Why wouldn't it be just as easy as in my country? How is it in your country?
To keep us safe. God bless them. On another note, at our southern border, there is more massive news. Southwest border crossings in March fell to the lowest level in American history, down 94% from March of last year under President Biden, when 137,000 illegal aliens poured across our wide open.
Christian Bedward said, I use my Starbucks bonus card. That will work. U.S. MAGA said voting is a legitimate thing and makes for a real voting situation. When you pass through tolls, they go through your license plate. That license plate address is where they send the payment. Yeah.
Open southern border.
And then Lovely Red said, I live in Florida. They ID'd me when I went to vote. Guess most places they do not. Blows my mind. And then Feynman said, if the point is to really get people to vote. And then Ryan said, I am all for free registration and voter ID cards. That is free. Do we all agree to that? And then Feynman said, just like I said, no need to register and any ID is fine with a picture.
Thanks to President Trump's leadership, Border Patrol agents are now back to doing the jobs they signed up for, securing the border, rather than serving as travel agents for illegal aliens.
Bro, it says illegal border crossings hit. Bro, they are using U.S. News to say illegal border crossings hit stunning new low in March, down 94% in a year because migrants are scared. There are consequences now. Yes, that's good.
The Los Angeles Times captured the Trump effect on the border with a recent article. Their headline read, California-Mexico border, once overwhelmed, is now nearly empty.
Yeah, I think that at US MAGA, I think like just having a bank card is dumb too. Because you can just steal somebody's like bank card. Because she said, she's a member on the channel, she said not everyone has a credit card or a debit card with their picture on it. Matter of fact, I think that's stupid. Yeah.
With so few migrants coming into the U.S., they wrote, shelters that once served migrants have completely closed. Deportations of illegal aliens who threaten the safety of the American people are also continuing at a rapid pace. Over the weekend, the United States military transferred a group of 17 violent criminals from the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorist organizations to El Salvador. And an illegal alien who was released by the Biden administration into our country was just arrested in Georgia and charged with the horrific killing of Camelia Williams, a mother of 5 and grandmother. The suspect has now been indicted on charges of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, rape, aggravated sexual battery, and necrophilia, which for those who don't know, necrophilia is a sexual obsession with a corpse. This suspect was.
Y'all see what Christian Bedwin said in the chat? He said a lot of landscape work will be available soon. Better start business.
Ordered to be removed in July 2023, but the Biden administration allowed him to stay. This case represents the ruthless murderers, rapists, and pedophiles who Joe Biden and Democrats let into our country over the past 4 years through our southern border.
That's crazy.
They should have never been here in the first place. Keep this in mind the next time you see Democrats protesting future illegal alien removals from our country. President Trump is focused on fulfilling his greatest obligation, to keep the American people safe.
Didn't she run for Congress at one point? Karoline Leavitt? I think she ran for Congress.
Defend our country from violent invaders.
Let me see.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, April 2nd, 2025, will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history.
Yeah.
Our country has been one of the most open economies in the world, and we have the consumer base hands down, the best consumer base. But too many foreign countries have their markets closed to our exports. This is fundamentally unfair. The lack of reciprocity contributes to our large and persistent annual trade deficit that's gutted our industries and hollowed out key workforces. But those days of
No, she ran for the U.S. House. That's what it says. I could have swore. Did she? I could have swore she ran for Congress, bro. It says Leavitt was a presidential writer and assistant press secretary during the first Trump administration in 2022. She ran for the U.S. House of Representatives in New Hampshire, 1st District, winning the Republican nomination before losing in the general election to a Democrat incumbent, Chris Pappas. Huh. I thought she ran for Congress. I guess not.
America, beginning tomorrow, being ripped off are over. American workers and businesses will be put first under President Trump, just as he promised on the campaign trail.
Another thing, like what she's saying, like Karoline Leavitt, she said American citizens will be first under President Trump. Why are people mad at a president thinking about Americans first? Like what? How is that bad? Why they be mad at him? Like, oh, he wants to think about us. Like, why is that bad? He wants to no taxes on overtimes and tips. He's so bad. Like, what? How is that a bad thing? It's crazy.
The president's historic action tomorrow will improve American competitiveness in every area of industry, reduce our massive trade deficits, and
I think she's like the youngest White House press secretary. She's like 27 years old, bro.
ultimately protect our economic and national security. President Trump's economic vision is rooted in common sense. America will offer companies the lowest taxes, energy costs, regulations if they make their products right here in the United States and hire American workers for the job. It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs. We have already seen a number of the largest companies in the world respond to this.
That's another thing, like Trump was saying. He was like, well, why are y'all like so mad? Like, if you were an American automotive company, then you don't have that 25% tariff. If you come from a different country and you build your cars here, you're not going to have the 25% tariff. We acting like these automobile companies are not worth billions of dollars. They can build a plant in America. Like BMW can build a plant in America. Like all of these companies, just build the car here, ship everything here, build the car here. You avoid the 25% tariff. Now, I'm not sure if the parts are coming from like different, you know what I mean? If there's a 25% tariff, it's a 25% tariff, right? But like if the parts are coming in, some parts from Mexico, Toyota parts are coming in from Canada, you know, whatever, like those parts would have the 25% tariff. Then it would be, you kind of moving backwards if you build in a plant in America, but then you still have to pay tariff on the parts to get here. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I wonder how that would work.
Economic approach. For example, Project Stargate, led by Japan-based SoftBank and US-based OpenAI and Oracle, announced a $500 billion private investment in the United States-based artificial intelligence infrastructure. Apple announced a $500 billion investment in US manufacturing and training. NVIDIA announced it will invest.
Diraj said the car industry is screwed. I mean, Teslas are built in America. They're built in California and Texas, you know, so that's fine. You got other automotive companies that build cars like in America. They're fine. You know, they're not going to have like an issue, but the issue would come into play. Like, this is just me being real. If they're shipping parts in to build the car. You know, when I was young, I used to work for a company called Shiloh Industries, and we built like the you know, like the doors and stuff for like GM, like their cars. So, but you know, the parts and stuff I think came from like different countries. So I don't know how that would work.
Invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years in US-based manufacturing. And the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company TSMC announced a $100 billion investment in
global companies explore U.S. expansion for growth and stability. $500 billion from SoftBank, $500 billion from Apple. That's $1 trillion right there, just those two companies. NVIDIA wants to build stuff in America, hundreds of billions. TSMC 100 billion, Johnson & Johnson 55 billion, Lilly 27 billion, Daymock 20 billion. And like chip companies are going to start building their chips in America. Instead of us giving like hundreds of billions of dollars to chip manufacturers in other countries that didn't help us when COVID hit. Like, remember we had the spike of chip prices, like computers went crazy in price, cars went crazy in price. Anything that had a chip in it was crazy expensive. We didn't get any breaks. Trump's like, we not doing that no more. We're building the chips here. We're not going to have that problem. I love that. I was wondering, like, when that chip crisis hit, I was so mad. Y'all don't understand. I was so mad. Like, why did this country allow all of our chips to be manufactured in Taiwan and other countries? Like, I was so livid about that. You know, and people were mad. Like, if you had to buy a car, you were getting hit with, like, high prices. And now he's doing something about that. And people are mad. It's like, why didn't Joe Biden do anything about that? But their way of doing something was just giving other countries more and more money, hoping that they would do something to help us. Like, and they didn't. That's crazy. Honda is shifting production to America. That's big. GE Aerospace, $1 billion and 5,000 jobs are going to be here in America. Clario, $6 billion in America. Bro, all of these billions is insane. This is almost like, this is 1.2, 1.3 billion, like right here. This is crazy. Honda's coming to America, building factories in America. Nissan is building factories in America, shifting production to America. America's a big market. You know, people buy a lot of Nissans, a lot of Hondas. Hyundai is shifting production to America. Prepack is moving production to America. The 25% tariff on aluminum, steel, and because Trump did when he was president before, 25% tariff on steel. But they made like a way that them companies can skate around the 25% tariff and not pay it. And Trump like re-implemented to where like, no, you got to pay that 25% tariff. So that, and you know, everything's market based. So if you're building a building, you know, and you building something that uses a lot of steel, you're gonna start looking at the U.S. market for steel. At that point, you're gonna be like, well, I don't want to pay like a 25% fee on top of it. So them companies are gonna start coming to America. The way he's doing things is trying to bring manufacturing back to America. I feel like, you know, people may feel a little bit of hardship for it for a little bit with the implementation on the tariffs. They hit tomorrow in an hour. You know what I mean? Like in an hour, April 2nd is when the tariffs hit. You know, but I mean, in the long run, I think it's smart to do it. In my personal opinion, we are depending on other countries for a whole lot. A whole lot. That's not good.
US-based chips and manufacturing. These are just a few of the investment announcements that have already been made, and it is clear that President Trump's America First approach is already working. In our new media seat,
Brian has said Americans don't want to pay $100,000 for an American Honda Civic. Why do you think the car is going to cost $100,000? Tesla is built in America. American workers building the car. Cars manufactured in America, designed in America, sold in America. You can get like a Model 3 base model for like $42,000 or something like that. That's not $100,000 car unless you want to get like the $100,000 Cybertruck. Like I got, like you want to do that, that's different. But they can bring the prices down. You know what I mean? Like they can do that.
Today is Mark Halperin, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Two Way, a new live video platform that builds communities around interactive conversations with leaders and content.
Brandon said the chips for all the computers do not come from America. I didn't say that. I don't know if you're talking about somebody else. I didn't say that. I said that they're going to start making chips in America. That's going to be an amazing thing. I didn't say they come from America. I don't know if you're talking to somebody else. You might be talking to somebody else.
Content creators from every subject area. Mark and his colleagues welcome all voices into discussions that are spirited but respectful. They have over 37.5 million video
But
views.
y'all got to understand, too, a president has to do something. He can't just sit back and let things just be how they are and be fine with it. We've experienced multiple different problems by allowing this to happen, other countries to have dominance over the chips. We've experienced that. He's got to do something. And I'm rocking with it.
Over 3.6 million watch time hours since the
Yeah, they make Teslas in all of those different countries. But where did they start making them at? America? Like, what are you talking about? Like, so the Teslas that are built in China, for the most part, are going to ship to Chinese people and some people like over there in Europe. But the ones that are built in America, there are American Teslas. So what are you saying? Like, they got plants here that build them. Just buy a Tesla. Like, if you don't, you know what I mean, want to pay extra money for a car or whatever, or buy something else.
Platform began just last year. This is new media in its truest sense, allowing the people to ask.
Then another thing he's trying to do, which I don't see any of these. First of all, these Democratic media outlets need to be telling these people that are burning down Teslas to stop doing that. Pam Bondi is prosecuting those people. She found one of the guys that burned down through a Molotov cocktail or something like that at a Tesla dealership. He's being charged and he's facing 20 years now. One of them Kamala men, like, you know what I'm saying? Like voters or whatever. I ain't saying she made him do it or nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, he's one of them. Like, he about to face 20 years in prison. The media, the liberal Democratic media that's been pushing the Trump derangement syndrome needs to be, if they're seeing things get violent, I think they have a duty and an obligation to step in and say, y'all need to chill out. Why are they not doing that? So they're going to wait for all these people, because people are very impressionable. I think you need to go to jail if you do something like that, right? But they need to put out a message like, this is not what the Democratic Party is about. Like, we're not tolerating destruction of property.
Questions, make comments, and be an active part of engagement on the most important issues facing the country and our world. With that, Mark, please kick us off and welcome to the briefing room.
Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate it. I'll ask you a question about tariffs and then one from one members of our community.
Sure.
About education. It's perceived by some that companies or countries, if they change their policies either before tomorrow or after tomorrow, can have
Another thing, Pam Bondi not playing. She just told them to seek the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. She just did that like 14 minutes ago. Like, she not playing, bro. So y'all thinking like burning Teslas down and all that's the move? No, y'all going to jail.
the president alter what he's planning for that country or that sector. Is that a possibility? And if so, what factors the president consider in making those changes?
No, 12 hours ago. My bad. 12 hours ago, she said that.
The ultimate change for these companies and these countries, Mark, will happen when they decide to do business in the United States of America. And as I just laid out, they will face no tariffs at all if these companies choose to invest here in the United States and to move their production and their manufacturing here to the United States as well. As for tomorrow, the president will be addressing the decades of unfair trade practices that have ripped our country off and American workers off. It has hollowed out our middle class. It has destroyed our heart.
Let me show y'all this real quick. Hold on. Show y'all this real quick.
In the wave of I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars. Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. We've charged Cooper Frederick in the firebombing of a Tesla dealership that occurred on March 7th in Loveland, Colorado. All of these cases are a serious threat to public safety. Therefore, there will be no negotiating. We are seeking 20 years in prison. The crime was committed in Colorado, and thanks to the great investigative work by the FBI, the defendant was arrested in Plano, Texas. Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide.
20 years of his life gonna be gone.
Land, and the president is focused on reshifting our global economy to ensure that America is once again the manufacturing superpower of the world.
So if they do something today or later in the week that's a pledge for future activity, would that be good enough potentially to alter the policy?
Again, the president has been looking at the very unfair trade practices of the past. Certainly, the president is always up to take a phone call, always up for a good negotiation, but he is very much focused on fixing the wrongs of the past and ensuring that American workers have a fair shake.
So if someone calls after tomorrow and says, hey, I'm ready to make a change, he'd be open to that.
The president is always open to taking calls.
Okay. A question from one of our community members, Katie Reeves, is a school teacher in Wisconsin. She's taught K through 8 in public, independent, private, and private schools. And here's what she wanted me to ask you. She says, I see the elimination of the Department of Education as an excellent first step in the improvement of our school system. Do you see any further role the federal government can take beyond this, possibly in promoting the expansion of voucher programs or reducing the influence that teachers' unions hold over our schools?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Katie for her service to our country and our nation's children. Being a teacher is the most noble profession that we believe one can have. And the president said in his remarks when he signed the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education that he loves our teachers. And in part, this order is to empower our teachers to have greater decision making in the classroom. Nobody knows our nation's children and our students better than our teachers who are with them every single day. As for the federal government's role to get to the heart of Katie's question.
Oh, let me show this real quick.
In this video today, the media fails to fact check Elon Musk. Cory Booker is still speaking after 24 hours on the Senate floor, and major updates from the Wisconsin and Florida election. Let's start with this viral clip from Jim Banks.
Hi, I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved
Wow.
it. Wow. Yeah, that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
Okay, sir, you shouldn't have said that.
And he didn't stop there. He actually went to X and put up the screenshot from the video of the smirk he had when the elevator door was closing. Now, I'm not too sure if this is a real video or a prank, given that it's April 1st. But if that was indeed a legitimate federal employee who was fired, I'm wondering, is that the same employee that got the severance package where they were going to be paid all the way until the end of this year? So, yeah, I would also call them a clown if those details are apt.
MAGA said Sixers may have been pardoned, but if they other court dates for other crimes, then they will see consequences.
Absolutely true. Now, this really gets to the meat of this entire story, and that is the media and how painfully they continue to fail at fact.
Somebody said many people saved up to buy Tesla's products prior to him stealing identities. And so, what are you talking about? How is Elon Musk like? What are you talking about? How is he? Elon Musk saving his money is him stealing identities. Is that what you're saying? Come on, yo.
Checking Elon Musk. Here he is on the 5 doing an interview, and Jessica confronts him on the main question that all Democrats have. Take a look at this.
Liberal Tesla lover here. My sister has 2 in her family, so have not thrown any Molotov cocktails recently, but I wanted to talk to you about what Doge has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Well, everything that Doge does is an open book. So I think the most transparent action, the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single Doge action is listed on the Doge.gov website. It's also listed on the X handle. So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up. They can raise that. And I do want to say, like, sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will at times make a mistake, so we'll act very quickly to correct it. I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything nefarious. And
Joey said these people watch too much of The View.
Obviously, nor do I wish to. So this is a case where we have radical transparency. we're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are. But we want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
That's the main argument from Democrats, is that Elon Musk holds contracts with the federal government. Tesla is continuing to get subsidies. SpaceX has contracts with the Pentagon. Now, guys, the value of these contracts is peanuts compared to Lockheed Martin or Boeing, for an example, or Pfizer, for an example. But this is what Democrats do. They pick and choose when they want to make a fuss about something. And because Elon Musk has aligned himself with President Trump, they're going to hate the man. And that's why we showed you the receipts from the Social Security scam that he exposed yesterday. But that still didn't stop the media, like Chris Cuomo, from questioning that.
There is no max inclusion or minimum collection or max benefit setting or button at Social Security. And I'm not nitpicking. This isn't parsing words. It's not semantics. It's not a distinction without a difference, okay? It's just not how Social Security works.
Yo, shout out to Devory Darkins. This platform, he got 914,000 subscribers. He did this in like 6 months. He is killing it. You know what I'm saying? Can I get 125,000? Stop playing with me. Subscribe to the channel, Thug Life. Hit the like button, everything. Wait a minute.
The program uses a complex index and algorithm to figure out benefits based on our lifetime of earnings, okay? Every year, illegal immigrants do contribute to Social Security, over $20 billion. But did you know that they receive almost no benefits back?
All right, so let's go ahead and fact check Chris Cuomo since he failed to fact check Elon Musk. The Social Security Administration has multiple programs within inside the agency. Elon Musk was talking about one of those programs, okay? Now let's understand what I am talking about here. When your grandmother, grandfather, or anybody you know, or even yourself, if you're 62 years or older and you've been paying into Social Security, which program are you going to be drawing from? It's called Social Security Retirement Benefits, okay? What Elon Musk was talking about is called Supplemental Security Income. That's a separate program. And that's why I have it here on the screen from you. What are the differences? SSI is for someone who has a limited income, meaning your income is below $943 a month. Secondly, they are a U.S. citizen or a qualified alien. Pay attention. A qualified alien is someone who got granted asylum, a refugee, or a lawful permanent resident, or someone who is 65 years or older, blind, or disabled.
Christian Bedwig said Candace Owens mask will help you immensely. What do I gotta wear? A Candace Owens mask or something? Subscribe.
That's how you can qualify for supplemental security income. And that's what Elon Musk was talking about. And that's why I told you guys mainstream media does not know what they're talking about. Now, this takes us to the next story about people that don't know what they're talking about. Here's Cory Booker staging a 24-hour speaking protest on the Senate floor, holding up business as usual because he, I guess, wants to stop President Trump. Take a look at this.
This is when the most precious ideas of our country.
This fool then went ahead and said that he went like without water preparing for the speech or something like that.
Being tested where the Constitution, and the question is being called, where does the Constitution live? On paper or in our hearts?
History would.
This is the moment.
Let me show y'all that. It's talking about he fasted before his speech.
History was made. Check out this time-lapse video we have of Democratic Senator Cory Booker. You couldn't take a bathroom break. The only break of any sort you got was if one of your colleagues would ask you a question to give your voice a break.
Yes.
How are you feeling? Yeah, physically and also emotionally, the longest speech in the history of the U.S. Senate.
Well, I'm physically not in the best shape, but I am.
Oh, yeah, and y'all want to talk about Trump. Look, sir. Booker. Trump, I didn't see Trump speak for 2 hours straight, not a sip of water, nothing. You a lot younger than him, you can't even do it. But y'all want to criticize Trump and say that Trump don't have the intellectual capacity to do the job. But you out here parched, you can't talk, you losing your voice. So I had to fast. I had to, bruh.
Emotionally, just feeling really fed right now and grateful, and kind of just really grateful for a lot of the people who lent support to the effort, and obviously the constituents, the dozens and dozens of folks who gave me their stories, who gave me their hurt, their pain, their anger, their demands of me that I read. And they're really humble offers that tell me what I can.
Rachel Maddow, get out of here,
Tonight
bruh.
at 7:19 p.m. Eastern, Senator Booker broke the record for the longest speech ever given by a United States senator. The previous record was set by arch segregationist Strom Thurmond, who tried to filibuster the Civil Rights Act in 1957. That speech lasted 24 hours and 18 minutes, but it included things like him reading from the encyclopedia and him taking a bathroom break. Senator Cory Booker did nothing like either of those things. Tonight, Senator Booker blew past Thurmond's record. He spoke until 8:04 p.m. for a total of 25 hours.
He talked a whole bunch of nonsense for 24 hours. I don't want to hear that.
Generations get them. We're on a crossroads here, folks. Healthcare is on the balance. Veterans are on the balance. Priorities are on the balance. Where's our priorities, America? More tax cuts.
Hold on, Anna, who are you talking about? She said stop defending people who don't like you.
Portionally going to the wealthy. Greater budget deficits in the trillions and trillions of dollars.
Somebody said, how many black people does Trump have in his cabinet? It don't matter. He got people that's qualified. That's all I care about. I haven't been like upset with anybody he's got in the cabinet. I mean, he got like a black person over like housing development. He's got a black woman who's over like presidential pardons. Like, I mean, like what you want? Like, I mean, does he just have to have a whole bunch? Does Karoline Leavitt have to be a black lady for y'all to be cool with him? Like, I think Carolyn's doing a really good job. I don't think like the race really plays a part like in this. I think she's just doing a good job. She's doing a lot better than the other lady. It ain't about your color, it's about what you can do. Merit-based society, and that's what I like. That's what I like. He's got black people working for him too. Like, it's just like, what do y'all want? Y'all just want to see black people? Is that what it is?
Or are we going to do something different?
He's got them. If that's what you want to look at, he's got black people that work for him.
Like John Lewis would call us to do. He would call us to get into good trouble, necessary trouble, save the soul of America. But you all know, John.
He kept all these people in here just so he could talk for 24 hours about nothing.
Don't hate each other.
Now, I have a few questions for the senator. Number one, over the past 24 hours, did you even condemn the violent acts against Tesla?
Nope, he didn't. Talk to him, DeVory Darkins. Talk crazy. 24 hours, he didn't condemn none of the actions of those Kamala men. No action was condemned over the Tesla destruction of property. I'm not saying Kamala sent him to do that, nothing like that. I'm just saying the dudes that had voted for her. So I'm wondering, like, why are y'all not coming forward saying nothing? Like, that's very interesting. 24 hours of talking. I'm making a TikTok about that. Yo, I did like 4 TikToks and I got 40,000 followers from that. I'm going to do a TikTok on that. You talk for 24 hours and you ain't talk about Tesla's property being burned down. Like, come on, bro.
Did you condemn the arson that took place in New Mexico? Did you condemn the death threats that Elon Musk has been receiving? Of course you didn't. Question number 2. What is the return on investment by you wasting your time for the past 24 hours? Because you're not stopping any piece of legislation. There's no filibuster here. And number 3, are you able to provide any receipts for what you stated? You continue to push the lie that Elon Musk is gutting benefits in order to give tax cuts to billionaires, but he doesn't serve in Congress. Now, you know I don't buy anything that Cory Booker says, but it's really bad when even Democrats aren't buying it. Take a look at this.
The Democratic base and Democratic donors are looking for signs of life. And so I think what Senator Booker is giving them here is some signs of life. Is it going to have a tangible impact on business? I mean, if he is still alive after this. It's not. It may have a tangible impact on Senator Booker, but it won't have a tangible impact on business in Washington.
So they're laughing. Wow. They think it's a joke. They know it's not going to have an impact when it comes to what's happening in Washington as it pertains to getting pieces of legislation passed through Congress. But maybe there's another reason why Senator Booker is doing this. Maybe it's to show that there is some type of fight left in the Democratic Party. So for Republicans, do we care? Absolutely not. Is this a little entertaining for us? Sure. Is this a huge deal for Democrats? Absolutely. Because what else do they have to motivate them in a sense? And I think that's the point that CNN also was making in this clip.
For sure. I mean, the White House may not care about this, and they probably don't, but Democrats do. And here's why. Democrats are looking for someone to stand up, someone to sort of be fired up. And what is going to be coming later this year in New Jersey is a key governor's race. And that is exactly why things like this matter, because it gives Democrats sort of a sense of cohesion. That
Shout out to Draco. He's a member on here. He said, I thought the Democrats cared about climate change. Why Cory put all that carbon dioxide out? Yo, US MAGA said he wanted his ushers to close the doors.
They aren't out in the wilderness. So no, there's not one speech that is going to stop the Trump agenda. Of course not. But it does show one senator that Democrats still have some fight in them. And that's what we have our eyes on as we're watching these races in Wisconsin tonight. That New Jersey governor's race is going to be a fascinating one to see if Democrats can hold on to that seat.
I believe this isn't really going to matter in the end. I think this is another desperate attempt after many desperate attempts from Democrats to try to find some type of momentum, some footing. And the problem here as well is that he's speaking for 24 hours to protest what exactly? Because the only crisis that I'm aware of is what we had to experience over the past 4 years. Now, here's Scott Jennings making that exact point. Take a look.
Definitely think it's representative of anger in the Democratic base. There's no question about that. And I think Booker's moves tonight are representative of the fact that there's a vacuum at the top of the Democratic Party. There's no leader. The only leader that really exists is Jasmine Crockett. She's the one you see on TV most often. Booker's trying to, fill some of that vacuum. I'm puzzled by his language, though. What is the crisis? You have a president of the United States that won the national popular vote and a landslide in the Electoral College. He is sitting, according to CNN.
Talk to him. What is the crisis? Like, can you please explain this? It's popular vote. It's like a lot of people voted for him. Like, what is the crisis? He's honoring like what he said he was going to do. What's the crisis?
CBS News as of yesterday at a 50% approval rating. What is the crisis? I mean, he's effectively
62,000 views. Hit the like button, double tap the screen, hit the hundreds and all of that. Shout out to everybody.
Executing on the policy agenda that he ran on, and he's sitting at about 50%, which is far higher than the last president. If this is a crisis, what was the Joe Biden term? A mega crisis? I don't know.
I think the crisis is that we're seeing people deported without due process. We're seeing the very fundamental aspects of our democracy at question. That's what people are scared about. And so they want to see. I think the one thing you and I can agree on, Scott, right now is the Democrats aren't doing what they need to do. Can we agree on that? Well,
I don't know.
I think we can all agree on that. Let me put it this way.
You raise a good question because I think, and look, my party's gone through this. You lose, and then everybody wants you to do something, right? What are we going to do? Sometimes there's not much to do until you get to the next election. That's the next great opportunity.
Now, the current leader of the Democrats, Jasmine Crockett, had this to say: disruption is all they seem to understand. So that's exactly what they're getting. For 14 hours, Senator Booker has been on the Senate floor speaking truth within the rules. This cannot be business as usual when our democracy is on the line. Thank you, Senator. And in the comment section, people bring up a good point. Maybe she should be focusing on the fact that she assaulted a reporter and that she could potentially be going to jail. Now, I don't believe she will. I mean, let's just be real here, guys. But hey, I think she's got other problems that she should be focusing on, and I think that is the senator. And here's Congressman Chris Murphy. He said 90 minutes into the Cory Booker filibuster, which that's not what this is. But okay, he's now reading heartbreaking letters from Americans whose lives will be ruined if the Republican Medicaid cuts go through. Again, didn't I point this out with Social Security offices? Pay attention to the language they use.
Yeah, he said, sub up, you Democrats.
Whose lives will be ruined, have not been ruined, is missing, of course, if the Republican Medicaid cuts go through. What cuts exactly? 24% of American families get their insurance from state Medicaid programs. Up to 30 million will lose it. Well, why don't you guys focus on the fact that illegal immigrants are drawing from Medicaid? All right, so now we're on to our next story, and it really is a major update in regards to elections out of Florida and Wisconsin. And the great news here is we do have the hardcore numbers out of Florida and confirmed who has actually won those seats. So Randy Fine did win his seat, as you guys can see, almost by, 11 points at this point in time. And then we also have here Jimmy Patronis. He's also has a significant lead. 74% is reporting, but he's up by almost 8 points. So that's great news. So Republicans were able to maintain there. Now, some Democrats are arguing that Republicans should be sweating because the numbers should be higher, given that Florida is super red. But again, ladies and gentlemen, when you're talking about turnouts in these special elections, even midterms, that is a different scenario than a national election that we saw from President Trump. So overall, win is a win. However, for Republicans, there is a burden to actually take advantage of the opportunity we've been given. A huge coalition. We've got independents voting Republican. And if we don't make those connections and strengthen those relationships and also encourage voting, not just in national elections, but also in these special elections and midterms, we will lose a lot. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter.
It's a turnout game. And this is a condition of the Republican Party that is true. We now have a party that's made up of lower propensity voters. They tend not to vote when Donald Trump's not on the ballot. They turn out at lower rates, especially when elections are happening at odd times. And this is an issue the party's going to have to grapple with. Democrats have these higher propensity voters who turn out for everything. And I think it creates a mirage of what you just said, that maybe people are switching. I don't think they're switching. I just think the highest propensity voters are turning out. Democrats have a few more of those right now. I mean, that having been said, my advice to House Republicans right now is eat healthy, get on your treadmill. Try not to die if you live in a district that's any worse than either of these two between now and next November, or at least now in this summer when we got to pass a reconciliation bill, because it's thin margins. But the Republicans, I think, are going to hold this thin margin and hopefully hold it long enough to get Donald Trump's legislative agenda.
That sounds like a diagnosis.
Now, one of the key developments as it pertains to the Wisconsin Supreme Court race is this. Multiple people are saying the same thing. And I'm going to read what Charlie Kirk posted. Hearing multiple reports that turnout in suburban rural areas is high. Some are telling us 40 to 50% higher than 2023. That was the last Supreme Court election, to be clear. These are areas we absolutely need to run up the score if we're going to offset the very predictable and regrettable late Milwaukee drops. We have to swamp the vote in these areas. Lines are out the door in multiple counties right now. And then he posted a photo of that, and that was an hour ago as me recording this video.
All right, well, the polls are closing at 8 p.m. It is Election Day after all. Now, we do have some breaking news to pass along. Some locations are experiencing ballot shortages due to the higher voter turnout.
Of course they are.
Election officials are telling people to stay in line, not to leave. They are right now working to bring more ballots to those certain locations that are impacted. Election officials expect those results to come in after midnight.
So by the time you watch this video, we're going to know more results from the Wisconsin election, because the polls don't close until 9 p.m. Eastern time. And regardless of the outcome, Republicans are still going to have a lot of work to do between now and 2028. And it comes down to turnout, as you heard Scott Jennings say. All right, so this leads me to the question of this video, really, two of them. What do you think about Cory Booker and his...
That was a really good analysis, what he said. Like, for the 24 hours, he's like, yo, did you condemn the people that are destroying Tesla properties? Did you say anything about that? Like, that's very interesting that he said that. That was dope. I want to see what Hannity's talking about, because I want to see if he's going to talk about this judge.
And we begin tonight with a Fox News alert. Polls are now officially closed in Wisconsin, where a pivotal Supreme Court election could have major implications for many years to come. We'll bring you live vote totals and updates all throughout the evening. Meanwhile, the GOP's House majority just got a little bit bigger. In Florida, Republican Randy Fine is projected to easily win Florida's 6th House district. That is the seat that Mike Waltz had. And Republican Jimmy Patronis, he won Florida's 1st district. That's Matt Gaetz' whole district.
No, she re-uploading like Hannity's whole thing. Like, nah, bro. What's she doing?
But in honor of April Fool's Day, we begin tonight with more insanity. It never ends from the Democratic Party. For some reason, Cory Booker decided to speak nonstop on the Senate floor for 24 hours. No food, no bathroom breaks, no silence, just Cory Booker's performative art at a podium, talking for hours, saying nothing worthwhile. And of course, it's not a filibuster. He's not officially blocking any bill, but he did go on and on and on, all about his hatred of all things. Donald Trump, what a shock. Take a look.
I confess that I have been imperfect. I confess that I've been inadequate to the moment. I confess that the Democratic Party...
Trump derangement syndrome at its finest.
...has made terrible mistakes that have given lane to this demagogue. God bless America. We need you now. God bless America. If you love her, if you love your neighbor, if you love this country, show your love. I don't want a Disneyfication of our history. I don't want to whitewash history. I don't want to homogenize history. Tell me the wretched truth about America. Today into tomorrow, I'm going to stand as long as I can. As long as I can, I'm going to stand and read stories.
You know why he's doing this, right? Jasmine Crockett is getting a lot of notoriety from the Democratic Party. And he's trying to do something world record breaking and just sitting here and talking about nothing for 25 hours.
Like this, because you are seen, you are heard. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate to stop what they're trying to do.
Nobody was watching. We haven't seen this much bravery from Cory Booker since he referred to himself as Spartacus. That was during the Kavanaugh witch hunt. But when you think the hysteria can't get any worse, well, think again. Last night on MSDNC, far-left Congresswoman
he called him MSDNC, yo, he wildin'.
But Jayapal promoted her very own training program to teach the American people how to fight back against looming Trump dictatorship.
Exactly. Dan is a subscriber. He said Booker is desperately trying to stay relevant. He probably be seeing some of those approval ratings. Something's going on. Or I think it's the Jasmine Crockett. She's getting notoriety for being silly. And so he's trying to do something silly himself.
It's about to occur. Take a look.
I mean, what we decided is that we really need to help Americans understand what happens when democracies fall, when dictators take over. We've been pretty complacent in America. We haven't had to really deal with this in any real way. And now I think people need to understand what are the lessons from other countries, and working with experts who have studied democratic backsliding in countries around the world and the resistance movements that emerged to take on that democratic backsliding. We've developed a curriculum where we help people understand how do you go after the pillars of support, not necessarily the person at the top, but the pillars of support that allow that person to continue to have power, and how do you shift allies from being sort of passive opponents to being active supporters of taking down a dictatorship.
How to be a left-wing squad lunatic, and not to be outdone on Capitol Hill, Congressman Jamie Raskin, maybe my favorite quote of the year. As usual, making a complete jackass out of himself, and is now demanding that Donald Trump bring back the violent, illegal immigrant, Tren de Aragua gang members that President Trump deported to El Salvador. Wow, I have a condition. Take a look.
I call on them to demand that the Trump administration comply with all judicial orders while appealing whichever ones they want to appeal, and to demand the return of people unlawfully taken to El Salvador on that so-called plane full of gangbangers.
I'll cut a deal with Jamie Raskin. I'll be fine with his plan as long as the Tren de Aragua gang members live in Jamie Raskin's house with ankle bracelets. We'll have more on these gang members coming up with Senator Ted Cruz.
What? Oh, Dan said exactly. He's trying to raise his clout with progressives. He knows clout. Crockett is favorite. Yeah, with the Democratic Party, she's favorite.
tonight. But while Raskin is most concerned with the rights of criminal illegal aliens over the safety of American citizens, his colleague, well, she's in the news every day, Jasmine.
Anna said the lack of empathy and lack of education is appalling. 25 hours and all you got was he didn't condemn Tesla vandalism. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't think that they should be condemning that? Burning down cars and attacking people's, like, properties. You don't think they should be, like, what are you talking about?
And Crockett is
there was no filibuster. There was nothing going on. What did he do? He just went up there to break a world record. That's it. He talked about nothing. He got up there whining, Trump derangement syndrome. Like, what did he do? He didn't do anything profound other than break a record.
Focused on America's far-left activist judges now abusing their power in a desperate attempt to thwart Donald Trump's agenda. Today, she just couldn't believe that Republicans would dare criticize federal judges. That is, until Congressman Darrell Issa reminded her about her plan to impeach.
Hold up. Why did Candace Owens just get sued?
All right.
Again? She got sued again. Let me see. Y'all know that's my girl, man. See what she doing.
All right, you guys. Welcome.
Hey, dude talking about, I love me some Jasmine Crockett. Look at Candace Owens. Candace Owens is crapping all over her. Look at this. Look at this. That's a woman right there.
Welcome to April. It's my favorite month of the year because I was born in it. And also, I just love the spring. I've also come to terms with something. God has ordained it that
Candace Owens, Jasmine Crockett.
am simply not allowed to have a peaceful end of pregnancy. That's just it's kind of like a running theme. And also, Lent season, be crazy, always for me. It just cannot be. Thou shalt not. I don't know why. I am afforded no peace. I'm just going to accept that. I feel like right now in my life, I need a YouTuber who's like dedicated to me in the same way that Britney Spears fan was dedicated to her many moons ago when he made this video. Remember this?
Leave Britney alone! Please!
That's what I need right now. I need someone to just go live and be like, leave Candace alone.
Leave her alone. Leave Candace alone right now. Y'all say this to her real quick. Leave Candace alone. Stop suing her. Leave her alone. Send this to her real quick. Leave her alone. Y'all keep bothering her.
Just let her be pregnant. Please. But no, instead I have you guys. Apparently you're all too emotionally stable to do anything like that. Anyways, it is true. I got hit by another process server yesterday at my house with news of another lawsuit. I'm going to tell you guys all about it. Also, I spoke with Olivia Nuzzi, RFK Jr.'s sexting partner, briefly. Interesting. I'll tell you about that when we get to the comment.
We got 80,000 views on this video. Somebody send this to Candace now. Leave her alone. Stop suing her. Make sure y'all tag me in that too.
And the Trump administration is basically adopting a BLM position on anti-Semitism. I hate to say it, but I have to say it because it's true, and I'm not a sycophant. So let's get started and welcome back to Candace.
We riding with you, Candace Owens. We don't want nobody messing with you.
Or the White House is calling, or this or that, or something's happened to the kid at school. It's crazy. I get stressed about it. Well, yesterday, I unplug my phone from the wall, and I see a text message from my husband, and he says, call Noah. Someone tried to serve the house. And I've told you guys about Noah before. He's been my lawyer for 5+ years now, and he has seen a lot throughout that time. I'm assuming I have to be his most interesting client because there's just no way. I mean, there's just no way that I'm not his most interesting client. Anyways, I see this message from my husband.
Yo, Val Kilmer died. The dude that was in Top Gun and played Batman. He died like 20 minutes ago. That's crazy.
Just genuinely why? Less than 5 weeks of pregnancy to go. I'm effectively walking around carrying a bowling ball every single day. I just don't need any more drama. I'm about to go on an early maternity leave. I'm just going to leave you guys tomorrow, okay? And I'm actually so glad, in retrospect, that I was recording live when this process server came by,
because I'm getting to that like angry phase of pregnancy. You know, I just want to beat somebody up right now, just real bad. I just want to go at somebody. And I feel like if I had answered the door, like if it was me, that poor gentleman who was just the messenger would have accidentally been transported into the movie 300, which is like my favorite movie ever. You know, when the messenger comes at the beginning of the movie to deliver news.
Hold on, Candace Owens. We gonna get back to you, girl. Yeah, Val Kilmer died. People, Val Kilmer, Top Gun actor, dies at 65. It says, best known for his movies such as 1986's Top Gun and 1995 Batman Forever, has died. He was 65 years old. His daughter, Mercedes Kilmer, told the New York Times he died of pneumonia on Tuesday, April 1st. He was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2014 and later recovered, she added. Kilmer made his final appearance on film in 2023's Top Gun, which is one of my favorite movies for demos from my home theater. Maverick, a sequel to the 1986 classic, Kilmer briefly appeared in the film. He died in that film too, sharing a poignant moment with Tom Cruise on screen. I just want to say, remember he had like, I think throat cancer or something like that. Like he can barely talk. So he didn't really have like any words like really in the movie. It says, I just want to say that was pretty emotional. Cruise told Jimmy Kimmel in 2023 about acting alongside his friend again. I've known Val for decades, and for him to come back and play that character, he's such a powerful actor, and he instantly became the character again. So after years of rumored health problems, Kilmer finally opened up about his battle with throat cancer during a December 2017 interview with the Hollywood Reporter. Remember, he used to smoke all the time. The article revealed that the actor's 2-year fight with throat cancer had taken its toll on the family, and noted that Kilmer had undergone a procedure on his trachea, which made his voice raspy and left him short of breath. His health issues first became apparent in January 2015 when a spokesperson told people that he was rushed to the hospital for a possible tumor. Soon after, he took to Facebook to deny having a tumor, saying only that he had a complication. Further rumors were reportedly shut down by Kilmer, who has spotted out with a tracheostomy tube in October 2015 and then without it in the next February. I have not had a tumor or a tumor operation or any operation. I had a complication. He had a tumor. He was lying about it, but he had throat cancer, and they had to do like a surgery or whatever. He ended up like he still had his voice, but his voice was super raspy and messed up. And like they said, he had like breathing complications, stuff like that with it, but he ended up dying of pneumonia. You know what I'm saying? But Val Kilmer, why don't they have the Batman thing in there? Like he was Batman before. You know, shout out to him. That's a big accomplishment, being Batman. See if they got it. Reuters got it. Actor Val Kilmer dies. Star of Batman Forever dies at 65. I mean, he died rich, famous, you know. He had a good life. The cause of death was pneumonia, the paper said, citing his daughter, Mercedes Kilmer. You can't believe none of them. Like, who knows what really happened? But he ended up passing away, unfortunately.
To King Leonidas and his Spartan wife. And the messenger's like playing all friendly but low key. There's a war brewing. Yeah, I'll jog your memory. Take a listen.
Before you speak, Persian, know that in Sparta, everyone, even a king.
What are they suing you for, Candace? They need to leave you alone.
If he had given it to me, I would have said, only Spartan women can give birth to real men. And he would have been like, ma'am, this is Nashville, Tennessee. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I wouldn't have cared.
Y'all know I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Make sure y'all send this to Candace. Leave her alone! Everybody stop suing her. We rock with Candace Owens over here.
Because I'm at that point right now. I just want to do hood rat stuff with my friends. Anyway, so I ran a poll on Instagram this morning to see if you guys could guess what the lawsuit was pertaining to. And here are the results. First of all, what I asked. I said, this is a lawsuit pertaining to, and these are the 4 options I gave: Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's trial, Harvey Weinstein's upcoming trial, Kanye, and his wife, or blah. They are looking, it's a wide net. And they're like, well, we need to see if you have any messages that are pertaining to or contain the following words. I am not kidding. This is the real email that Noah then forwarded to me after our conversation. It says, we received the attached
lawsuit against Ye, Candace. We received the attachment document subpoena in the Trevor Phillip versus Yeezy case. What? I spoke with plaintiff's counsel and said we likely did not have any of the requested documents expected for video of your Ye interview. What?
Document subpoena in the Trevor Phillips versus Yeezy, blah, blah, blah. They are looking for the following subjects in any communication from the last 5 years, okay? The Jewish religion or people, Jews, anti-Semitism, black people, African Americans, Nazism, the N-word, and they're not clear on which word that is. There's a lot of N-words. Is it no? Is it nice? Is it near? I don't know what word they're talking about. Lawsuits filed against Ye, Yeezy LLC, the Donda Academy, lawyers who have filed suit against Ye, Yeezy LLC, the Donda Academy, Hitler, the swastika emblem, the Holocaust, and or the slurs, BITCHs, hose, and then the P word, plural too. So I call Noah and I'm exasperated, okay? I say, what is this lawsuit about? Why am I being asked to do this task? This feels like a fishing expedition. And he tells me that there's this former employee of Kanye's who is a black man who is suing Kanye for racism against black people because he says that Kanye treated black people worse than he treated the white people. I'm just telling you guys what I was told, okay? And also, as one component of this lawsuit, this former employee is alleging that Kanye also used a lot of anti-Jewish rhetoric in his presence. Still unclear of why I would be drafted into this lawsuit. I've never been an employee of Kanye, an employer of Kanye. And I just want to read you guys, just so you understand how not real my life is, I just want to read you guys directly from this filing, just a little portion of what's going on here, okay? This is what Trevor Phillips has lived through. And the challenge that I'm going to give you guys right now.
So this is a problem. Like, she's got 4.1 million subscribers. Her Twitter is lit. I think she got like 1 million followers on Twitter. Everything that she posts or touches does crazy numbers, right? She can't post a video without it doing 1 million views now. This is how big she's gotten on YouTube. She got away from politics. Y'all remember she was into politics. She did a Kanye West interview. She got demonetized, right? So she went to Rumble. She took her audience. She went over to Rumble. They worked it out with YouTube. She got back reinstated with YouTube. So now she's doing content on YouTube, but she got away from politics and now she's in entertainment. She talked about the, just the celebrity news, the Taylor Swift, all of that stuff, the Ryan Reynolds, all of that. And then she does the Kanye West interview. The Kanye West interview, I think, is what really did it and got her demonetized. So that Kanye West interview, and when you look at a channel like hers, the influence that she has and giving somebody like that a platform, I think, like, they try to, show her, like, yo, you better watch what you're doing. So I think that's another reason why she kind of got out of politics and dealing with certain specific content. Well, it's crazy is she's being drugged into this lawsuit. And that just goes to show you, when you're doing views like this and you got numbers like this, what you put out could be very, very effective. And this is some of the things that they got to deal with. You got to have lawyers. Like she said earlier in the video, she's like, I got my lawyer that deals with this and that and this and that. So you got to have lawyers. You got to have all these people when you're getting views like that on a regular basis. That's crazy. Shout out to her. She be dealing with a lot. And I do want to say she broke down Kamala Harris very, very well last year when she was exposing like who her grandmother was and like where Kamala Harris came from and all that. She did she helped tremendously, I feel like, with the election. So shout out to her. I think she should have got like some sort of position, but the kind of views that she's doing right now, the type of money she's making, plus like this video alone, she might get like $3,500 just from one video, right? That's minimum. And then you got like sponsorships on top of it. So she probably just rather, because she pumps videos out all the time, she'll probably just rather just sit around, do social media, because obviously this is going to pay her more than being a lawyer. Do social media, TikTok, Instagram, all of that, and do this versus like taking some sort of position. But I think she did a remarkable job, and she helped change the minds of a lot of Americans who did have Trump TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, and who were brainwashed by at least what the the government wanted you to think about Kamala Harris. Like, she put her on blast. I think she did a really good job with it too. US MAGA said, do you not have friends? I was talking to somebody else. She said, yes, she broke down Kamala Harris very well.
Nobody's allowed to laugh at this because this is a serious lawsuit that I'm being drafted into. This is what happened, according to Phillips. Phillips arrived to the exclusive and intimate Nobu Hotel in Malibu, California, around 9:40 p.m. The hotel staff greeted Phillips, asked him to wait in the lobby, and that Kanye was on his way. After about 20 minutes, Kanye appeared alone, wearing a black jacket and holding a black mask in his hand. It was the same outfit Kanye wore a day or two earlier during his interview with InfoWars conspiracist Alex Jones. The hotel staff escorted Phillips and Kanye to a small hotel room. Phillips, contemplating the strangeness of the circumstances, sat in a chair while Kanye opened the blinds out to the Pacific Ocean. Without a word said by either of them, Philip listened to the ocean waves while Kanye took his shoes off and sat on the bed. You're not going to believe what happens next. Suddenly, Ye grabbed the hotel phone and sternly told the operator, I asked you to put on Batman. Come put on Batman now. Phillips remained quiet and baffled. A few moments later, the Nobu hotel staff arrived and they put on the Batman, starring Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. Kanye lowered the volume to 0, and he and Phillips watched the movie in total silence. After a long and awkward silence, Kanye finally spoke again. Turning his attention back to Phillips, he began an unprovoked and bigoted rant attacking Jewish people, referencing the stereotype dating back to the Middle Ages that Jews are miserly, Kanye opined. These Jews are greedy. With sincerity, he professed, I hate Jewish people. Rather than recognizing or repenting for his public remarks, he shifted blame on his misfortune to others. He said, quote, Adidas did me wrong, end quote. Okay, so, no, some people in the comments are asking if this is an April Fool's joke. No, this is not April Fool's. This is the lawsuit, a piece of the lawsuit that I'm being drafted into. I was not in this hotel room. I did not watch the Batman. I did not watch him yell at the staff about the Batman. In fact, I have not even seen this Batman. I've never seen this Batman in my life. And I will say, small part of me thinks that making somebody watch a movie on silent and not saying a word is a little bit of a power move. But I have nothing to do with this. So I said, Noah, I'm tired. Please get me out of this. I'm tired. I'm fat. Everybody just needs to chill.
She's funny. Shout out to her.
Justices Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito. Take a look.
The problem that we have right now is that if we continue down this road, then we will not have a rule of law, because we have people that are currently serving and they're saying things like, ignore the judge's order. What it means to have law and order in this country is that you follow the order and you go through the appeals process, even if you dislike what the judge did. Thank you, and I yield.
I'll yield back to you. So you had a question for me, which I'll yield to you now if you want to.
Now that there's no time left. Thanks, Eric.
Entertainment.
You're good. You're good at that, but I'll take my own time. I'll recognize myself. And I'm going to
says Jasmine Crockett called out for hypocrisy on the rule of law.
Note that when Miss Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as we know her, filed articles of impeachment on Justice Thomas and Alito, Miss Crockett was one of the co-sponsors along with Mr. Cohen, both members of this committee. It does seem interesting that when the shoe is on the other foot, everyone is self-righteous.
Wow, pretty great minor reminder. Oopsie daisy, sorry about that. Also, remember, top Democrats even supported court packing, all in an effort to all but eliminate the judicial branch of government. But of course, they now love judges who use nationwide injunctions against Donald Trump with regularity. Now think about it. One far-left unelected judge representing a lower court gets to stop a duly elected president, in this case Donald Trump, and a policy nationwide even before that case is adjudicated. That is a nationwide injunction. This never once happened before 1963. George W. Bush faced only 6 nationwide injunctions in 2 terms. Obama, In 2 terms, he was subject to 12. But during Trump's first term, there are a whopping 64 nationwide injunctions, and then back down to 14 under Joe Biden. So far, in just the first 2 months of his second term, President Trump has already eclipsed that number with 17 nationwide injunctions. This is just more democratic lawfare, more weaponization of our justice system. This
injunctions halting presidential policies. Obama, 12 injunctions. Trump, they gave him 64 injunctions halting his policies. These Democratic crooks, bro. Biden only got 14. Trump, as of March 27th, he already got 17. These radical judges.
Needs to be cleaned up. And while Democrats in Congress, they scream and they yell and they make fools out of themselves, this is the real resistance to Trump. They're using unelected judges. What they can't win at the ballot box, what they can't get done legislatively.
And another thing, Hannity, they are turning judges that he elected. Like people, like remember the judge that tried to stop the USAID? Trump appointed that judge, not elected, but he appointed that judge. And he's been turned. Like, that's crazy, bro. Like, they are getting to these judges.
Legislatively, they run to judicial activist judges, acting as kings, even blocking staffing decisions in the executive branch of government. At one point, a judge seemingly barred the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, viewing files at his own Department of Treasury. And, you know, is this not insane and totally unconstitutional? As Senator Grassley pointed out today in the Wall Street Journal, quote, Article 3 of our Constitution tasks the judicial branch with resolving cases and controversies, not making policies, according to a story in the Wall Street Journal.
That wasn't the deportation. Let me show you. I just want to show y'all I'm not lying about this. It says how Trump, what does it say? How Trump appointed judge ruled in deportation case. Judge Justin Walker ruled in favor of President Donald Trump in the case into whether a judge can block him from using his 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport individuals believed to be a part of Venezuelan gangs without due process. Why it matters, Trump's actions on a range of matters, including immigration and cornerstone. This ain't the one. It's not the one.
Many of these injunctions also break what's called Rule 65C, and that states that a party seeking an injunction needs to put up a bond to cover its costs. Well, these bonds are not optional. They happen to be mandatory, but were not applied to these nationwide injunctions.
Another one. So Reuters said Trump appointed judge quits judicial group over warning about threats. What? They're threatening him? A prominent conservative U.S. appeals court judge resigned from the largest association of federal judges over its decision to speak out against a rise in criticism, threats, and violence directed at the judiciary in a statement issued after several judges came under attack for blocking Trump administration initiatives. U.S. Circuit Judge James Ho, who was appointed by Republican President Donald Trump, and is seen as a potential U.S. Supreme Court nominee at a Saturday night event hosted by the Conservative Federalist Society, took issue with rare public statement issued by Federal Judge Association. So in a statement, so he stepped down because he's afraid. Like,
that invalidates them. Now, Senator Grassley, he is pushing the Judicial Relief Clarification Act in the U.S. Senate that would limit district courts to resolving the cases only between the parties before them and make their decisions immediately appealable. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
That would be interesting. That'd be very interesting. All right, y'all. Shout out to y'all. I'm about to let y'all go. You know what I mean? We're going to come back and do more politics. We got 100,000 views on here. You know what I mean? I appreciate everybody for coming in. We're on a climb. We're trying to get 125,000 subscribers, 200 subscribers away from 125,000. Appreciate everybody that's been watching, all the concurrent viewers. Everybody's been hitting the like button. We got 615 comments in here. Appreciate y'all. 774 reactions. You know, I cannot do these views and everything without the help of y'all. Shout out to US MAGA for becoming a member in here. Shout out to Christian Medwed. He's a Democrat. He comes in here, you know what I'm saying? But he's a regular. Caitlin actually coming in here. Lamar Jurrell coming in here. And shout out to y'all. Lorenzo Day, Noah, see you in here. Ben, Kelly Race, and Rick King. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody. If I missed y'all, my bad. But I got to go. Shout out to everybody. Come rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. Peace.